From despised tax collector to beloved apostle. Matthew Levi's story proves that no past is too heavy for Yeshua's forgiveness. Let's discover how a publican became a pillar of faith. Matthew Levi, or commonly called Matthew, was the seventh apostle chosen by Yeshua. He was selected through Andrew's invitation, and his story is one of the most powerful examples of forgiveness and transformation among the apostles. Matthew came from a family of tax collectors and worked as a customs officer in Capernaum, collecting duties from travelers and merchants. Because tax collectors worked for Rome, they were disliked and often branded as traitors and sinners by their own people. At the time Yeshua called him, Matthew was 31 years old, married, and the father of 4 children. Unlike most of the other apostles, Matthew had a stable income and moderate wealth. This made him different from the fishermen and laborers Yeshua also called, but it also gave him the unique ability to manage money. Within the apostolic band, Matthew quickly became known as the money-getter. Andrew entrusted him with the group's finances, and Matthew faithfully made sure the treasury was supplied. What no one knew, except Yeshua, was that Matthew often gave from his own wealth to support their work, but he did so in secret, disguising it as if it came from others. At first, some apostles struggled to accept him. Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot in particular, had a hard time with a tax collector among them. But Matthew's sincerity, humility, and gratitude soon won them over. He never forgot that Yeshua had welcomed him despite the world's rejection. This gratitude became the driving force of his loyalty. He once described the kingdom as the business of finding God, reflecting how he understood faith in terms familiar to his practical, trade-minded life. Matthew had a quiet strength. He rarely defended himself when others insulted him as a publican. Instead, he let his actions speak. His devotion showed through generosity, faithfulness, and his careful attention to Yeshua's teachings. In fact, Matthew was one of the few apostles who took notes of Yeshua's words. And these notes later became the foundation for what we now know as the Gospel of Matthew. Though he began with a material outlook, Matthew grew spiritually through his years with Yeshua. He gave almost all of his wealth to the mission, lived simply, and poured himself into the spread of the good news. After Yeshua's death and resurrection, when persecution scattered the apostles, Matthew continued preaching faithfully. He traveled through Syria, Galatia, and other regions, teaching about the kingdom of heaven. His journey eventually led him to Thrace, where he was martyred for his faith. In the eyes of the world, Matthew died with nothing, stripped of wealth, status, and possessions. But in truth, he died with everything: loyalty to Yeshua, richness of faith, and eternal fellowship with God. Matthew Levi's life stands as a timeless testimony that no past is too dark, no label too heavy, and no sin too deep for Yeshua's forgiveness. The despised tax collector became a beloved apostle, and his legacy continues to inspire all who feel unworthy yet long to follow God. Thank you for joining me today. Tomorrow, we'll meet Thomas, the apostle of both doubt and courage. See you then, and God bless.